I guess I shouldn't be surprised when a lot of people weigh in on detransition, transition, trans topics, and things like that. And well, I'm very gratified by some of the email I received, but some of it is a bit discouraging. And honestly, well, we're going to talk about that today. Let's get into the story of detransitioning, and today we're going to relate that to something called courage. And a good morning to all of you. You have done a 1 year detransition, a 2 year detransition. And looking over the comments, and whenever I do a video of this nature, I get a flood of mail from people, Gmails, and asking me personal questions about their own situations and things like that. And of course, you guys know I'm very hesitant to weigh in on people's particular situations because every single person is different. But one of the recurrent things that I received in the mail yesterday from no less than about 5 or 6 people, was this idea of what will people think of me, right? I just went through a whole transition thing. I lived for a while as the opposite gender, and now I reached a point where I don't think things are working out for me. I'm really not comfortable with this identity. And I'm really worried now, and my main concern is what are people going to think of me, think about me, if I detransition? To which my answer back was, well, what did they think about you when you transition, right? These are two extremely brutal paths to take, right? When you decide to transition, it's something that you've contemplated and you've worked in your head months, possibly even years, right? But when you spring that, and another big question, how do I tell people I'm this or that? Or how do I tell people I'm trans and things like that? You're coming to them and you're giving some information that, well, you've had months and years to process in your own brain and research. And all of a sudden, this is put in front of them, and they have to process and work through that. And one of my biggest concerns with the whole transition process was, while we give ourselves as trans lots of time to work through all the ups and downs, the ins and outs, the research, am I not, we often don't have that same patience and that same forbearance when it comes to other people and allowing them to work through the idea of you're going to be a changed person in their life now. And too oftentimes over the years, the reaction was, well, I just cut them off because they couldn't deal with it. Well, it takes time. And the same thing is very true in the obverse of that. The other side of the coin is that if something is not right, and perhaps you got into it and it wasn't right for you, and many people get into it and they feel like it's right for them, right? We're certainly not one to sit here and talk about that, but since I was specifically asked about detransitioning, and well, this person said it feels like I'm eating crow when I go back to people and say, okay, right, it wasn't for me, right? I mean, ostensibly, these are people that love you very much and have been in your life. You know, there'll be some measure of people that are like, we told you so, blah, blah, blah. There'll be other people that will be just genuinely welcoming you in. You know, I've been through the whole emotional de-entangling and things like that with family and friends. And I think above all, we live in a world today where this aspect of courage and fortitude has declined dramatically in society. We want things to be easy. We demand things that be easy. When we decide to transition, we want all of the roadblocks in our way to drop to help us achieve our goal, right? We can't work through that anymore with real life experience and dressing for a year before you start hormones. No, we got to get right to the prize. Well, the same thing happens when it comes to detransitioning. There's work that needs to be done, right? Number one, people have to see that, well, you're the same person as you were before, right? Just the packaging is a bit different. And number two, yes, are people entitled to an explanation that we're very involved in your life? And of course they are, right? This is a big shock for other people too. Their lives have to adjust because of your decision-making process. And it's the same thing on the return side. So if you reach a point where let's say you became trans and then you decided, this doesn't really feel like it's the right thing for me. Well, the thing I have to say is, unlike a lot of society today, you're going to have to reach in, have the courage and the fortitude to do what you believe is right for you at this time, right? Just like before, you're going to have to come to that decision. You probably have to go through counseling or something like that. I mean, there were certain checklists I had to go through with my medical providers and things. They wanted to make sure my head was on right. But at the end of the day, the whole process is a whole study in courage all the way through. Whether you ever come back the other way or not, courage is the hallmark of being who you want to be. So if you've decided, for whatever reason, that detransition is the correct thing for you to do, your whole life lays ahead of you now. And you really have to have this exercise in courage to move through and to be what you want to be from that day forward. Look, it's also a test for people around you. They either love you, right, unconditionally, which is the definition of love, right? Willing the good, willing the best for the other person is real love. So they either will the best for you and love you, or there's other deeper seated problems at work in the relationship. Will there be thoughts of retribution and payback, especially from a society that seems hell-bent on gotchas these days? Told you so's, right? That's why it's so hard to stay back from the whole process and stay detached and say, you know what, it's not my business. Right? It's not my idea. It's not my place to be an advocate. Right? It's not my place to advocate for other people. Right? You have to put out the fire in your own house, okay, before you worry about other people's houses. And too many times I've seen, particularly over the last 5 or 6 years, it's people gravitate, they get that prize, and then it's like, oh, it's so great, it's so wonderful, it's amazing to me. And then you look around the community and you see so many people that are continuously unhappy as trans, because the same problems that follow you into that are the same problems that are going to follow you once you think you've achieved your dream. There's more to it than physical packaging and mental counseling and things like that. So when you decide this isn't working out for you, take the step. Make sure you think it through carefully and make your decision accordingly. Yes, you're going to have a lot of courage. You're going to have to reach deep inside your gut and do it, right? Because not only once you get some blowback from what you've left, right, but also some measure of people will be confused, and yes, some will might want to make sport of that. But at the end of the day, here's the question that you have to ask yourself. Will I be truly happier on the long term? That's the question to be asked. And if you can really see forward and to say, yes, I've done the whole journey now. I've done the whole circuit route. I've climbed the mountain, right? And I don't like the view from up here. And I'm going to start coming back. Courage, courage, courage. Okay. My best thought about, one of the tons of questions and comments I got through my Gmail and other things. I'll attempt to answer some more of them. But for now, if you've enjoyed the discussion, we do a lot of things: vintage audio, metal detecting, picked up crabbing, also do travels, do volunteer work, repairs, all types of things, demonstration, cooking. I would love you to be a part of it. And yes, I will answer some more of these questions, but it's not the focus of what I do on here, right? I'm not an advocate. I've never been an advocate, but I'm a person that believes in helping people that reach out and ask for help, okay? Live your life. All right, guys, thumbs up are appreciated, and thanks so much for watching.